We're going to service the pair of these F725 front deck John Deere mowers today. I'm going to use my assistants, Braxton and Bain, to help me do this. First thing they did was they removed the guards from the deck, and he's blowing the deck off here. They also raised the seat up and the hood up, and we've removed the top shroud off the radiator, and he's going to go ahead and blow all that out underneath. There's always some dust and dirt underneath there, plus in the winter sometimes a mouse can build a nest in some crazy places. That way we can change or check some of the wiring and make sure they didn't get chewed through or anything over the winter. So these are the tools they're going to need for the next stage. They're going to take the blades off of it, clean the underside of the deck, and then sharpen the blades and put them back on. Have a couple of scrapers over there, some safety glasses, an 18mm socket on a 1/2-inch drive, a block of wood, and a jack stand. So here we are. The shadows are playing with us a little bit, but we have a jack stand holding up the lawnmower deck. We've taken 2 of the blades loose. I want to show you the process that we do. I definitely need you to wear gloves. I didn't put that in the last part. Braxton's got his safety glass on because there's dirt and debris that falls the whole time you do this. And there's a block of wood involved here. This block of wood is going to be between the blade and the deck as he squeezes back. And he's going to go ahead and loosen that bolt all the way off. The board is important because your finger can get stuck between the side of the blade and the side of the deck, and then you end up in the hospital getting stitches. So we don't want to do that. So as he takes these off, then they're going to take the 2 putty knives and clean the rest of the deck off underneath. As you can kind of see underneath there's a lot of old grass and a lot of debris. Got one of the blades chucked up here in a vise. I've got a flap wheel on my grinder instead of a regular hard disc, but it doesn't really matter. Biggest thing is that you keep with the old angle that was there on the blade while you're grinding, and then I always do a little bit on the backside. I touch up the backside just a little bit as well. It's more of an art of just working your way along. You don't want to dig too much too quick. These blades are in pretty good shape, so all they need to do is be dressed up a little bit. So let's see how it looks for you. Pretty clean surface. I'm going to do the other side so you have another one to watch, and then we'll flip it over and dress up the back side. You can do this on a bench grinder as well. They work about the same either way. I'm going to touch up the backside to just put that razor edge on there for him. As you can see, it's pretty well a razor edge. If you ever see that you have some bluing show up on here, it means you were in one spot too long and it burnt the blade a little bit. Just let it cool down, go back across, and you can clean those up. From now on, when you watch us grab these blades, you're going to see that we have our gloves on because these are razor sharp and we don't want to cut ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the other 2 attached already. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up. Once again, I got my gloves on, got my board in the way, so if something slips loose, it's not gonna hit in between the side of this deck here and the blade, because you can get your finger stuck in there and then you end up going to the hospital. And from what my parents told me, it was about 5 stitches is what they put in my finger that time. So I'm gonna tighten this up. I'm gonna hold on to the back side of the blade, pushing it into the 2x4. And tighten it as tight as I can with a 1/2-inch ratchet. Okay, so they're putting the guards back on. It comes in 3 different pieces, and they're finding out it's a little bit frustrating to get all 3 of them lined up perfectly on these 2 mowers. But they're going to get it. Okay, so they have a wrench. There's a valve on the outside of the engine there with a tube that runs down behind the gas tank. So Braxton's going to go ahead and open that up and continue to twist that out until all the oil drains out of there, and he may even open up the dipstick there to let a little air into the system to let it drain a little faster. See how Bane's doing over here, doing the same thing. Should be get easier as he goes along here. Hopefully he can probably do that with his fingers here now, and then open up the yellow dipstick tube and let some air in. Braxton's already got his oil filter loose, and he's figured out that it's going to make a mess down the side of the block here and side of the frame and all that, and that's just the nature of the beast here. So, but he's going to go ahead and spin that off and set it down in there and let the rest of it drain out. Bane has his spun loose, and he's finding out the same thing, that the oil filter makes a mess on the side of the engine and the side of the frame and everything that we'll have to clean up later. Okay, so Braxton's about ready to put the filter on. He dips his finger down into the oil jug just a little bit to get a little oil so he can run it around the outside of the filter so that O-ring can slip, similar to what we did the other day. And then he's going to just attach it to the side and then give it about a 1/2 turn after it gets snug. And then he'll be ready to put in the 2 quarts of oil. So that's, oop, there. I'd say that's pretty good right there. He can add 2 quarts now. Okay, Bane, did you put oil around yours too? All right, sounds awesome. Go ahead and put that on there, and like I said, about a 1/2 turn after you get it snugged up, and you'll be ready for the 2 quarts of oil as well. We won't film much of this. This is like watching paint dry, but he's going to put both those quart jugs in that engine. Braxton's added his 2 quarts, just checking it, making sure it shows up on the dipstick. Sometimes it's hard to read on the dipstick when it's brand new oil because it's so clean and clear. Did it have all the oil it needed? Yep. Okay, so there's 3 more things you need to do, 4 actually. You're going to check all the air in the tires, make sure there's 10 psi in each one of those. You're going to check the antifreeze, which you can kind of see in the overflow tank that there's some there, but you'll pop the cap off of the radiator there and check that. Then down underneath the seat there's a transmission dipstick. You want to make sure that it has enough fluid. And then there are some grease zerts on the back for the steering, and then there's some grease zerts up on the deck. So you make sure you want to grease every spindle and the steering axle. So Bane's going to check and make sure that he added the 2 quarts and that it shows up on his dipstick. Once again, he's going to check his antifreeze. You can see it in the overflow there, but make sure. Yep, there it is. And why don't I zoom in after you wipe that off onto your dipstick there, and you can show what a dipstick looks like. And it says right on it, it says add or full. And as long as it's in that checked space between add and full, you're good to go. Braxton's greasing up the spindles at this point. There's some up on the front idler wheels here, one on the crank there in the middle. We don't use that one very often, so he's going to finish that up. And then there's a few right back on the steering axle, and he'll be ready to go to hand the grease gun off to Bane for his. Bane's holding it on the zert while Braxton pumps. Teamwork makes the dream work, huh, boys? Look up here, proud as punch. Okay, so now Bane's checking all his air tire pressures. And then I think we're done, aren't we, boys?
No, we still got to check the air filter.
Yep, I completely forgot about the air filter. We got to take that shield back off the top and get down to the air filter and blow them out. Okay, so now we're down to the air filter, taking a couple bolts loose here. See if there's any dirty air filter underneath that needs blown out or not. Go check on Bane, see how he's doing over here. Looks like he's about the same point. It's a good thing you boys stopped me. Look how dirty and nasty these things are. Let's see if we can't get them blown out with the air hose here. So Braxton's filter was in pretty good shape, just needed blown out. We blew Bane's out and it had a lot more debris, so we need to go in and order a new air filter for his tonight. That way we can add that before season starts here. But I'm going to add the new air filter to Bane's. Braxton's is all ready to go. Put his seat back down, put his hood back down, give him a bath, and we're mowing ready. Alright boys, you service the mowers. Is there any tips you want to give anybody out there?
Always check your oil.
And when you do check your oil, make sure you put the dipstick back.
Has that ever happened to any one of you guys before? Alright, we've said it before, we'll say it again.
Someone's done it before you.